Yo, so here we are, 17.2. It's a doozy, I'm not gonna lie to you, but we're here, we got you covered. We're gonna try and give you the tools you need to succeed, right? So, what are we looking at from a gymnastics point of view? We're looking at two things, right? Toes to bar and bar muscle ups. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to give you guys some tools and some tips as we go through this thing. We're going to do it together and we're going to crush it, right? So first thing we need to make sure that we've got before we even go into this workout is make sure that we mobilize, right? Overhead mobility, very, very important. Make sure that the shoulders are working properly, not just the glenohumeral, but also scapulothoracic, right? So make sure that those scaps are opening and closing nicely so that you can get your big wings. Okay, second thing is making sure that you've worked on your line, get all that connectivity right down the middle, making sure that you've got that wax. See that everything from the tips of the toes to the crown of the head, tips of the fingers, all switching on, moving as one single unit, no independently moving parts. Okay, very, very important concept here, right? Trying to keep everything tight, tight, tight as much as possible. So one thing when we're looking at the toes to bar and going into that is a strong snapping action, right? I like the straight leg toes to bar, that's just me personally. Some of you guys might have practiced, and you might practice regularly, the double kick kind of action. You're more than welcome to do that, but this being said, if it's not something that you practice on the regular, it can become more complex. There's more moving parts. It's a more complex action because it's a double action, right? So the more action you put into it, the tougher it's going to be, right? So let's have a quick look at the toes to bar. And here in the toes to bar, when I'm setting up, I want to find something that's pretty neutral, right? So I don't want to have my thumbs wrapped over like that, right? I want to try and get my thumbs all the way around and in front of my index and middle finger so that I can have that kind of hook grip action, right? So that's going to help me to keep my hands properly solid on the bar and also maybe avoid falling off, right? And another thing is making sure that I get as much of that pinky knuckle over the top of the bar as possible, right? And that's going to help to solidify my hook grip action, right? So it's going to help to set my shoulder into a more beneficial position so I can get that strong snapping kick, right? And now when we go into the toes to bar, another thing we need to be careful of is when we go up, what I don't want to do is look up like that. So I don't want to hip and throw my head back and try and touch the bar, right? Because when I'm throwing the head back, what do? I create this big arching action, and what does my momentum do? It creates that big arc, and now I'm going to lose my momentum, I'm going to lose my rhythm. Not just that, I'm putting myself at risk by throwing my head back. I start to take inertia, right, all the way up and over, and I'm starting to risk falling over backwards. No one wants to play that game. We want to succeed here, right? So neutral head, neutral spine, right? Head is connected to the body, all sharing one spine, one spinal column. Keep that thing neutral as much as you can. Okay, you know the bar's there. You don't need to look at it. Tap it with your feet. That'll let you know you've got it, right? Also sticking to your movement standard. You got to touch the bar. So don't look for it with your eyes. Feel it with your feet. Trust your body. Trust your proprioception, right? So let's look at that again. Okay. And again, like I said, with the snapping action, I like the straight leg version. And here I'm snapping, but I'm not keeping these shoulders too rigid. I'm giving myself a lot of bounce through them, right? So I'm going to snap, pop, snap, pop, snap, pop, snap, pop, snap, pop, snap, pop, right? And I'm snapping through the middle, keeping everything as tight as possible. So that's toes to bar. I'll hit you up with another video for the bar muscle up. I need a little rest.